This is the JNN Evening News. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jacob Garish, your news anchor on this 25th of January in the year 1787. Tonight we will be leading with the battle that took place today between Daniel Shays and General William Shepherd. Today's battle is a culmination of a long series of events. After the deliverance of the colonies from British rule and the formation of our new Union of States, the British Crown decided to withdraw the favorable trading privileges that the colonies had enjoyed for decades. British merchants also called in many of their debts. Due to these actions, many of our own merchants here in America had to call in debts from farmers and small businesses. Those farmers and small businesses had to sell everything to pay their debts. Meanwhile, the state of Massachusetts decided to repay its debts from the war immediately and raised taxes. These higher taxes also affected the farmers, causing many to go bankrupt. As more and more people were sent to jail on account of their inability to pay their debts, the fervor for another revolution began last year. A hatred of the wealthy elite in the Massachusetts state legislature infected the hearts of the poor farmers of western Massachusetts. To protest the high taxes and the refusal of the legislature to meet their demands in the form of lowering taxes, printing more paper money, and enacting more democratic reforms, the poor farmers blocked courthouses and the proceedings in debt cases. Around September of last year, a man by the name of Daniel Shays arose to lead this revolt. In response to the attacks against the state of Massachusetts, the governor of Massachusetts raised an army led by General Benjamin Lincoln, and the Continental Congress raised an army led by General Shepherd. In late December of last year, Shays' plans to march on the federal arsenal in Springfield, Massachusetts came to light. General Shepherd managed to arrive there first, however, and he intercepted an important message detailing the inability to fight of a portion of Shays' troops. Still thinking that all his troops would be ready on time, Shays promptly began the attack. But his men, fewer in number and not expecting Shepherd's troops to actually fire upon them, retreated. Let's go to the scene live now. Our reporter, Jordan Myers, has a few of the key participants to tell us more about this story.
Thank you, Jacob. I will first be talking with Mr. Shays, the leader of this revolt. Mr. Shays, why exactly did you decide to fight against the government?
Well, we didn't start this fight. The government did when it decided to enter a new stage of tyranny by enacting heavy taxes against us and by taking our farms. The elite and the government conspired together to steal our liberties by calling in our debts and not helping us in this time of need. My co-patriots and I just risked our lives to fight for the ideals of the revolution, and what do we get in return? A heavy yoke upon our already tremendous burden.
Now, how have your views on our recent revolution against the British monarchy and our new ideals of democracy affected your decision to pursue this rebellion?
I saw a revolution in our new democracy as a triumph of liberty over absolute power and tyranny. Democracy must be kept in the hands of the common people. Small-town democracy is the future of our nation.
Now let's ask General Shepherd for his point of view on this revolt. What are your beliefs about the rebellion, and what are your thoughts on Shays' actions?
This rebellion is preposterous. This man thinks he's doing the right thing for the people, but he's doing the exact opposite. As my co-patriot General Lincoln said in a letter to George Washington, Shays is threatening and attempting to bring down our Constitution and our Republic. Shays' actions are evidence of insanity. Shays is going to destroy the very Republic that we fought for, that we lost our friends, families, and neighbors for. We don't need a local government making the rules. Instead, we need a capable man to rise to the top and rule a democratically elected meritocracy. Shays' actions are irrational and not well thought out. He put veterans in danger for a plan that was not well thought out and that ended just the way I expected it to, horribly. We had no choice but to fire on the charging rebels. He underestimated our loyalty and willing to do our duty for the government, and he paid the price.
Great. Could you now explain to me the important aspects of the battle and how you achieved victory?
We needed to suppress this rebellion immediately at any cost. If we had let them do whatever they wanted here in Springfield, they would have gone and wreaked havoc in Boston as well. We had to stand up and put this revolt down immediately. We let them get within 100 yards of us before we fired into the crowd. With only a few cannon shots into the crowd, the rebels lost any structure they had in the ranks, and they fell back and retreated. Victory was achieved with minimum harm to our side, and we will soon find and finish the remaining rebel forces.
Thank you, General. Now let's go to our commentator, John Gazal, for his thoughts on this rebellion.
Thank you, Jacob, for your excellent report on today's news events, and thank you, Jordan, for that helpful interview. In my own opinion, Daniel Shays will someday become a symbol for protest. He will symbolize a fundamental belief in individual rights and local democracy for time eternal, because he has been able to expose the tension at the heart of this new experiment in democracy of ours. I believe that Shays will serve as an icon to be brought up in defense of revolt and the decision to go against the government. Shays' rebellion has exposed the fragility of the American democracy, and I believe that it may lead to even more rebellions and revolutions in defense of the common man throughout the history of our nation in the near future. I think that Shays' revolt in Massachusetts will spur on all those who are disenfranchised with the current governments and of our states, of our union. In response to these revolts, and perhaps using these revolts as an excuse, some may attempt to strengthen the central government. As of right now, the states have far more power than the central government. I have heard talk of men, such as Alexander Hamilton and James Madison, who wish to change this arrangement. They want to get rid of the Articles of Confederation and reinvent our nation to make a stronger central government with a new constitution. All in all, this rebellion has the potential to ignite a wave of resistance all across our new country, and it may provide a great argument for some nationalists who are pushing for a new constitutional convention. Only time will tell exactly where these events may lead. But for now, let's send it back to Jacob for our final wrap-up of this momentum day. Jacob, back to you.
Thank you, John, for your insightful commentary on the current situation. Now, for more perspective, let's talk about the situation in historical terms. This story takes place in period 3, 1754 to 1800, and exemplifies the ideas of struggles over the new nation's social, political, and economic identity. Shays and the rebels were fighting with the elite over how the nation's political system would be defined. Would it be based around small-town democracy, or would it be a democratically elected meritocracy? The major theme that this story characterizes is politics and power, as the parties fought the battle over the role of the state in society. Would the United States government be centralized, or would it be decentralized? Lastly, the historical thinking skill for this story is causation. This event was caused by the end of the American Revolution and the economic and political problems facing the new nation. In addition, this event would eventually lead to the establishment of a new constitution, the rise of a centralized U.S. government, and the beginning of a populist tradition. Now, let's get back to our regularly scheduled program. Next time, we will be talking to James Madison himself about his new ideas regarding a constitution for our country. But for now, this has been the JNN Evening News with Jacob Garish. Good night, everyone.